everybody, Cal Ewing here, and this is our monthly real estate investing webinar where I like to bring in different guests that I feel will help you guys do better deals, find more properties, analyze your deals better, and just overall grow your real estate investing business. And for anyone that's new that's watching, most of our audience has been Canadians who are investing in US real estate. However, if you yourself are American or you're a Canadian that's investing in Canada, I would say about 95% of what we discuss completely applies to you, and I think we'll have a lot of benefit. So today, I got a really cool topic that I've been wanting to bring an expert on this for a while to come and talk, and I've met Lou DiMedici. Did I do this right this time?
Very close. It's not it. Yeah, there you go. That's
all right,
it.
DiMedici.
2 times the charm.
Yeah, so Lou is from a company called AdWords Nerds. I actually came across them, I think, through Bigger Pockets, just some people talking about good sources for real estate investors to get some help with online marketing. And so I've been actually working with Lou and AdWords Nerds for just about a month now. So we're just getting going, and I'm already seeing some really good quality leads coming in through what Lou is providing for my own business. And so I really wanted to get Lou in to talk to you guys, explain what Lou does and what the company does and their approach to online marketing, and then really open it up to questions. So if any of you have questions, feel free to just type them in the side panel there, and we'll make sure that Lou answers them right away. We don't have to wait till the end or anything. So Lou, welcome to the webcast, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks, Cal, for having me, and really looking forward to talking to you and everyone that's joined us. Thanks for coming on and to talk about the marketing and whatnot. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, no problem. Glad to have you. So let's just start from the beginning. What is it that you guys do, and why real estate investors?
Yeah, so when we look at our company, our business is AdWords Nerds. Essentially, we've been in the online marketing space for real estate investors for over 7 years, and this is all we do. It's the niche that we've chosen. We've really dug deep into this space because of the power of the lead generation that this can bring to our investors, our clients. For us, it's just been amazing. So many years ago, the founder of our company is Dan Barrett, and many years ago, 15 plus years ago, entered the online marketing space. He just happened to stumble into a client about 7 plus years ago that was wanted him to do marketing for investment, specifically Google Ads, PPC. And at that time, that was the predominant paid source of lead gen. Now we have Facebook, and we have Bing, and we have Yahoo and Reddit, and there are a lot of other channels, but back then it was Google Ads were pretty much the best and only way. So we stumbled into it in that respect and got amazing results, far better than he could imagine, and then just really dug deep into the niche and decided, I'm going to spend a lot of time here. And ever since, that's all we've been doing is, online marketing for investors. And obviously then it was only Google Ads, hence our name is AdWords Nerds. But now we're very focused on Facebook. We're very focused on Bing and Yahoo and other paid channels. And then of course, there's the other side of the equation, which is SEO, organic leads. We look at like 2 baskets when we're in our business, in our real estate investment business, at least online, and there are other sources of lead gen we can talk about too that complement this. But there's 2 baskets. One is paid ads. Okay, we're going to pay for every lead that comes through, hopefully very motivated, but we're paying. And then there's the other side, which is organic. How do we get those people to notice our company? To how are we credible enough that we draw attention so we become the choice organically as well? For people to come through. So SEO through search, through local maps, through reviews, through social media, through those avenues. So that's really been our focus, and that's all we do. And we have clients throughout the North America, I should say. So in the US predominantly, but we do have Canadian clients as well. And it's all we do. We don't mess with attorneys or chiropractors or gyms or whatnot. It's just, this is the space. This is what our focus is.
Well, that's what was so important to me, is because I've seen lots of other companies that promote this, but I was always worried that it seems like what we do is a little bit different, because we're trying to buy something, and it's pretty niche. We're not like a real estate agent where you're just looking for anyone willing to sell a house. I mean, we are looking for specific people, and sometimes they don't always show their motivation online. Like, people don't outwardly type on Facebook, "Hey, Darren, I'm in foreclosure soon." So I was really nervous to hire anyone until I found your guys' company, who strictly deal with real estate investors and know kind of what we're actually doing. I think that was really important to me. So what is your approach? How do you find motivated sellers online?
Yeah, so it's multi-pronged. There's a lot of things that go into it, because when you look at the approach, every investor has a choice. They have a budget, and they have time, and so they have to figure out what works best for them in their situation. A lot of people, when they start in the business, they're told to do direct mail, or they're told to do cold calling, or door knocking, or things maybe that don't cost money, or investment, or things that you can do to drum up business. And they're all potentially great. Some markets work, certain things work better than others, some don't work as great. And what we know is that most people are online in some way, shape, or form, in some capacity. So when we look at even those other avenues to market, are online, it's not an either or choice. It's a they complement one another, and the online piece is important. So when we look at this, we look at a business and we say, well, I do a lot of strategy sessions for clients before they come on board, and even during. And we look at the business. We look at what their focus is. What is their niche? Are they wholesalers, flippers, are buy and holds? Are they doing subject twos? And not that the lead's necessarily going to be different, but we want to get a feel for the business.
Sure.
Then we look at what they're doing, what other marketing they're doing, what can we complement, how can we utilize that, what kind of platform do they have, from a funnel perspective, from a website perspective, from a CRM, from a call system. We'll look at all those systems, and if they don't have any, well, then we're going to suggest certain things. We're going to help them set up certain things. And we have a lot of people that bring inherently certain tools to the table when they come in, and some do not. And we're going to help, set them up with certain tools, suggest certain things to make sure they're successful. So really the first thing is assessing where our clients are at the moment. Some clients are new, some clients have, paid channels running already. And then we're going to really establish where they want to go and how to get there. What's the best pathway? And for most clients, and not all, but most clients, it's through paid media, meaning Google ads or Facebook ads or Bing or whatnot. Because if we look at the, lead generation in a whole, and when people are searching for a solution to a problem, like you said, it's a different way. I mean, people are raising their hand, they're looking for a solution. They're going to come through in different ways. But when we look at paid media, the Google ads and Facebook, because we're paying Google, because we're paying Facebook, right? They are advertising companies, right? So if we do this the right way, do it effectively, and we have a little bit of a budget and we can pay them for leads, then this should happen pretty quick, right? This should happen pretty fast. Unlike maybe some other avenues that take some time, like SEO and whatnot. So it's one of those things where we can really spark this quickly if we do it effectively and have a little bit of budget and put those systems together.
Yeah. Well, like my experience with it, because in the past I've dabbled with the idea, because in my mind it makes sense, right? Like, for example, we needed insulation in our house. So I wasn't like waiting around for some flyer to come in my mail that had some kind of deal, or same like Windows or something like that. Like we were like, oh my gosh, it's winter. We need more insulation. We're getting ice developing on the roof. So I went to Google and I clicked like the first couple, 3 I saw, and I called for quotes. So I've always felt like this is the way to go. But every time I tried to crack this code myself, it just seemed so intimidating. Like I looked at some of those keyword planner tools and stuff. And like for some of those keywords, like I buy houses, it was like, I think the cost per click was over $100. And so, up until this point, I've just been like, well, who can afford to pay for these kind of keywords?
Sure.
Especially when you're going to get like MLS sellers that just want full market for their nice house that is, needs no work. That's just going to waste my entire budget. But that's not necessarily the case after talking to you. So can you just talk a little bit more about that and the cost? And
absolutely. Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit. And I think you're right. It's like when part of the appeal to this is motivation, because the people that are looking to a solution to a problem they have, they're typing into Google, they see, something that they may need. This fits that. Whereas, direct mail or door knocking, it's kind of like it's a by chance thing. And they'll hold on to that postcard and maybe one day they need it, but it's kind of like you have to time it right. And that's why you need, whatever the number is, every market's different, 70 postcards or calls from a postcard in order to do a deal, or maybe it's 50 or whatever that is.
Each person needs to get like 5 postcards from you first or something.
Right. They need, multiple impressions and exactly. And so with this, it's, I need, that's why, we see the quickest path to a deal usually are from these online leads. They're motivated. They need a solution usually quickly. Sometimes it takes a long time, and it doesn't mean that you don't need to follow up. We beat that drum too. You need to follow up. You need to have your systems in place, because follow up is gonna, win the deal. But those that follow up and are going to be the ones that win the deal. So, but more often than not, it's a quicker path to get across the finish line, usually wider spreads, because people are motivated. They need something now, right? They have an ice dam and the water's coming in and they need it. And like in your case, right? You had ice dams. So, and we get ice dams in Minnesota too. So there you go. I totally got your analogy.
Finally, a guest that understands the cold.
Right. I know. I wish I could say I did it, but I do. But the thing is this, in order to do it right, in order to get in front of those people that are motivated, you need to do it the right way. And it can be daunting from a cost perspective, because sell my home fast in in San Francisco, let's just pick a market that's absurdly expensive. That click might cost $200, right? And if it's not the right individual or the right lead, or you're not getting in front of the right people, you are spending a lot of money and maybe not getting results. We know there's going to be a cost per lead. We know there's going to be a cost per deal, but it's got to be reasonable enough that there's an ROI at the end of the day, and we can rinse and repeat this and do it over and over again. Because if we're paying, if at the end of the day it costs $15,000 to get a $15,000 wholesale deal, or $10,000, whatever, it doesn't make economic sense. If we can get that down to 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, whatever that looks like, every market's different, then it makes sense. And when doing that, you have to be careful of those keywords, of those ads, of the targeting, of time of day, of the way you structure your ads, of the funnel that you're bringing it to. So there's a lot that goes on when you look at this, and it starts with keywords, it starts with the systems, it starts with the funnel, and you just got to be careful, because if like in your example, $100 for I buy houses, well, that's fine and it may work. It's just that you want to make the most of your budget, and instead of being in the top position, because when you do a Google search, when you're doing paid, there's the top 3 or 4 ads, and there's other ways too. But you may be better off in the second position or third position, because you'll get more leads for your dollars than you would in the top position. So there's a lot of things that you can do to give yourself an advantage. And that's what this is all about, the marketing. It's what can you do to give yourself an advantage so you can bring down your cost per lead, cost per deal, so that you can spend more money on marketing and do more deals. And not always the case. Everybody has a different perspective on how they want to scale their business. But at the end of the day, we want to take the risk out of, the marketing and do deals, bottom line. And there's a lot that goes into that, including, ad structure, keyword selection, negative keyword selection, the ad copy itself, the funnel that you're bringing it to. So yeah, those are a few things that you really have to, pay attention to and be careful of.
Well, maybe we should define, just in case there's someone watching that doesn't really understand how these pay-per-click ads work.
Yeah. So, when most people have searched, let's use Google because they're, the big boy on the block. I mean, that's the most searches go on in Google. That's where most of it all happens. Mm-hmm. In Google, when you search "sell my home fast," there are there are results from that search, and then there are the top 3 or maybe 4 at the top, and they say this little ad, it says little ad, and a lot of people don't know it's an ad, but most people have come around to know it's an ad. And then there's the bottom 10 results that are quote unquote organic. Okay, they show up and they're supposed to be companies or businesses or information that is really credible and really good because they're organic. So there's the 2 ways that you show up in Google. And when you run ads with Google Ads, you show up in the top 3 if you do it right, if you understand how to get there, if you bid enough to be there. So that's the way Google has structured it. Again, that's part of the reason they're one of the richest companies on the planet. Everybody's bidding for that keyword. So "sell my home fast," type it in, 3 companies show up. You want to be in that 3 for a certain keyword that we know is effective. You want the ad copy to be compelling enough for somebody to click. And when they click through, we're going to bring them to a website or some sort of funnel so we can capture their interest, their information. They pick up the phone, they fill out a form, and we have a lead that we're gonna hopefully engage with and bring over the finish line.
Okay.
So that's what the ads are, and so there's those top 3, and then the organic is what I talked about earlier, where it's SEO, which is where organically you are showing up for those keywords on the first page, because when you're beyond the first page, you almost don't exist. But you want be on the first page for those keywords. Now there are thousands of keywords. Okay, there are many, so that there's a lot of different things you have to focus on, and you have to dial it in to the ones that are most relevant and that are going to get you the most traction, and really focus your approaches around those keywords. And when I say keyword, it's really it can be a phrase, right? It's deceiving. It's not just one word necessarily. It can be a phrase. Okay, so that's what's defined as a keyword, and that's how ads are displayed and structured to a degree.
So if you have a daily ad spend, is that how they work it normally? Is it a daily?
Yeah. So usually we'll structure it as a daily ad spend. That's and then you can select a certain time of day. You can make it a monthly ad spend. However you want to structure it, but a lot of times we will structure it on a daily ad spend. And when you get to that point of your maximum budget for the day, then your ads stop running.
It just doesn't. Yeah, no one sees it after that.
No further impressions after that for that specific day. And then of course you can pick whether you want your ads to be on desktop or on mobile. Just a little, we mostly do mobile, just a little tip there, because they're just the most effective leads, and the better leads typically are mobile, most engaging and higher conversion. So if we have a budget we would rather, and budgets can change, so based on the budget, our strategies may change. We will focus it in certain places, but based on many people's budget, we'll predominantly focus on mobile ads versus desktop ads.
Gotcha. Would you change that if, say, I was, targeting empty nesters or maybe older people, you think, that are more sitting at home, or is it more?
It can change. Yeah, it can change based on your target audience that you feel you want to target. It can change on the area of the country. It can change based on the data that we're seeing, because everything we do is very data driven, and it should be. Anything. And I want to say that obviously everything we do, anyone can do. It's just that when you do it, I would definitely just make sure you understand the concepts and you don't go in blind. But anybody can do this, and it's just a matter of getting the proper training and whatnot. But when we look at this, it's about the data, and we've collected a lot of data for many years. There's a lot of art to it as well, but the data will tell a story, whether we do just mobile or just do also incorporate desktop ads, and that tells the story in specific markets and time of year. And there's just a lot of things that we're looking at to pull out to make sure that we're running the best campaigns possible. You were talking about as far as like an older demographic and whatnot. So like even certain channels will spring to based on the type of client. So an older demographic may be more on Bing. So maybe we allocate more of a budget to Bing because, when someone gets a Windows PC machine, the default search engine is Bing. And that means that they may not change that default, and that, so they may be searching there. So there's a lot of reasons, and we may look at another channel and Facebook, and depending on the demographic, depending on the criteria that we have and we're looking for.
Now, you were saying that you guys start with basically national data that you've collected from all of your clients to just see what's working on a national scale, and that's kind of your starting point. Is that correct? And then you just sort of hone it into the specific market as far as keywords go. Did I understand that correct?
It is. It is correct. And because on a national level, we can see what's going on and where the trends are and what's working, what's not working on a national level. And then we will really dial it in on a local market level or regional level or state level, or, because every area is going to be a little different. So, we will look at this nationally, what's working, what's not on a more of what would be a macro level, right? And then we'll really bring it down to the micro, because, even down to the zip code, because you want to know what's working on that real local level. Because if we just look from such a high view, we may not get the specifics that the local market is telling us, right? So we gotta look at the national, but then really drill it down to the local to see what's working and what's not, and we test a lot of things to see what's working and what's not. And I think as we drill down, the more specific we can be in zip codes and targeting, the better off our campaigns are going to be. Although in certain markets we need to expand out, because if you're not getting enough impressions or there's not enough search in that area to get enough clients through the door, it's rare we come across that, because most markets can support enough enough search to get deals and whatnot. We may have to expand the reach or the geographic area. So if in other words, if you're in a town of 6,000 people and that's all you're targeting, and you want to do 5 deals a month, that's just probably not going to work, right? Yeah. So we'll have to expand the reach and get into 500,000 people, or whatever that looks like, to get to to get to that point.
Okay. Now, with respect to SEO, search engine optimization, I've seen some videos and stuff that say that SEO is dead. Don't waste your time. Is that true, or partially true, or not true at all?
We might have ran that because we wanted to.
Yeah, it's probably your ad.
Because we wanted people to do paid ads. No, it's, you know, it's not dead. It's just that when you're doing, you know, look at the fundamentals of what we talked about earlier, which is Google and Facebook and Bing, they make their money from paid, and they give away organic reach and organic momentum because they want people to ultimately do paid. So SEO is a great avenue, and it's just that it's going to take time. You know, we have to convince the search engines and whoever else that our business is worthy to show up, right? So it takes time, and it's not dead. As a matter of fact, you know, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but maybe it's 30, maybe it's 40. It depends on market, but 30-40% could be organic leads, you know, coming through the door versus paid leads. Okay, could be even higher than that. It just depends on how people search. I think that also it's not as straight of a path. So SEO, some people don't want to go down that path because really 90% of things people do for SEO, social media are time wasters. And you know, you can blog your life away. And
I feel like I wasted a year blogging for no real reason.
Right? I mean, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, does it make a sound?
Yeah, that's right.
Does it? So you can do a lot of things that have no effectiveness, and that's a shame, because a good blog could take you hours a day, and you pump them out, and maybe 5-7 years ago you pump out a blog a day and you get, you know, credibility and you're there. But Google's wised up to that. It's just we're way beyond it. It's more about quality versus quantity, and it's about doing the right things. So, you know, there's a lot of time wasters there. So the Google, you know, the SEO is dead isn't true, but a lot of things that worked maybe a couple of years ago don't work today. And you gotta, you know, I mean, our SEO, I'm not trying to just tout our team for this, but I'm just saying that, like, our SEO team, they're at like 4 conferences a year. They're, you know, so in other words, you have to stay like ahead of it's changing so fast. So you have to stay ahead of it and not get drawn into the antiquated ways of doing it, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. You might as well just, you know, do paid and not worry about SEO, and just call it a day, and or pay for leads, or do direct mail, and you know, if you have a good numbers and, you know, consistent numbers that way, or cold calling, or, you know, whatever it is, you know. And, you know, unless you know what you're doing there, then it is dead. It should be dead unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be hard keeping up with whenever they change the algorithms and things like that. Like, is that a challenge that you and your team face a lot whenever they do? Trying to figure out what's going on with the computers and the bots?
It can be challenging, but that's why we're just in the weeds every day. Something will happen. Like, you know, like I remember Patty just 2 weeks ago, we were looking at, because we have the reports, we have the data, we look at this every day, and we look at, you know, things are happening, and all of a sudden just things drop off the face of the earth. Right. And it's like, what happened? And, you know, not ranking and whatever for a client. And then you figure out, oh, we need to tweak this, we need to tweak that, because there was some change. They don't necessarily publicize it. It's like after the fact, it's lagging when you find out about it. So you gotta be cognizant of that. And let's just be real about why, you know, Google and Facebook, they do it, because again, they don't want that clear path on organic. They want people to pay them. So it's you know, even with some of the changes that happen on the paid side can affect people's ads if they're not cognizant of it. You know, like I think it was 6 or so months ago, they doubled the size of their ads. And if you didn't change your ads, you're not going to get as much, exposure as you would if you knew that and you brought in your ads and the copy and whatnot. Just literally 2 days ago, Google announced that they've expanded more ways to display ads, right? So our mouth's watering, but if you don't know that, you're
missing out.
You're potentially missing out. Not that you can't do the basics really well and spend a little bit of time every day and get enough deals through the door to do this. I'm not saying that at all. I would say whatever it is you focus on, whatever that lane is, do it really well.
Yeah.
And just dial it in and be patient, because that window of, if you look at one day, well, I didn't get a lead in a day. Well, it's a day, right? A week, I didn't get it. It's a week. So you gotta kind of, broaden your timeline to bring it all in, because you may get, 5 leads in, when you're doing this, you may get 5 leads on day 10 where you didn't get any on the previous 9 days. And then, they start trickling in or whatever else. So you got to be patient. You got to give it a good, timeline for a snapshot to give you the data that really tells a story too. So, very focused approach, be patient with the data, don't spend yourself to oblivion on day one. You want to season everything, because Google and Facebook, they like that. The more time you're with them, the more benefit they give you. So those are some of the things that help.
Question about Facebook ads, because my experience, I did run some and I wasn't getting a lot of luck, so we stopped. But then in Houston, where I work, Hurricane Harvey hit. So we started running Facebook's ads just in areas that flooded. And it worked very, very well. And then one day stopped. And it just seemed like, I guess, all the flooded homes sold. And then it was dead again. So do you guys, is it a primary approach that you use for Facebook ads, or is it more for a retargeting type strategy?
Yeah, our Facebook ads, it is a funny thing. Like, we see some of those things too, where it just, it ebbs and flows, and it's a little bit of a roller coaster. When we use Facebook ads, so when we look at the channels, Google still to this day by far is typically best ROI given in a specific market. Okay, best performance, best motivated sellers. It's just again, the way people search, it just brings a good quality lead through the door if you do it right. So we're always doing Google when we start certain campaigns. That's going to be our number one focus. Okay. That doesn't mean we ignore Facebook, but when we look at Facebook, we look at it from the perspective of, let's stack that on top of Google. We're going to start that as well. And what you kind of hit on something where Facebook is very good with retargeting, with building audiences, with building momentum, with using warm traffic or traffic that we already receive through Google or some other way to retarget them and build audiences from those, and then potentially lookalike audiences, which means that, okay, we're building an audience. So when we retarget, I probably should step back and just talk about retargeting for a second. So retargeting, for those that may not know, is just, everybody's seen this where they click on a certain ad or buy a certain item or click on a website, and that website or product or whatever follows you everywhere. And that company is retargeting you so that you click again, right? So you're top of mind awareness, and you get more impressions, and you become that go-to choice. So Facebook's good at that. We build audiences from the people that have come through, and then we'll build lookalikes, meaning that we want, like, if people that are coming through are, let's say foreclosures, and that's what our target was, and that's the people that are coming through, then we might build an audience that looks like those people that may be going through foreclosure based on whatever algorithm Facebook decides matches that audience that we already have. So it's a lookalike. So a great way to build audiences like that and build momentum. So that's what that's a big way we use Facebook, although in certain markets, I mean, we're doing cold traffic and we're doing really well with it. We'll also use the direct mail lists or cold call lists to target those people specifically, because we can build audiences from those lists to get more impressions in front of those people that you may be calling or direct mailing or RVMing or whatever else you may be doing with that individual, so you can hit them from multiple sides. So Facebook's really good at all those things. More often than it's very rare we would just like all Facebook, nothing else. What you experienced, I think, was a little bit of an aberration where it's
an anomaly there.
where people were,
everyone was motivated in one small area.
Yeah, and of course, and everybody was talking about how everybody else was doing and tracking it through Facebook.
Yeah,
it was a good medium to target people in a sense, because everybody's seeing how everybody else is doing, and everybody was, talking about how flooded their home is versus someone else's home, and so
it wasn't an individual problem like most motivated sellers have.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it can be super effective. It's just we wouldn't start there with a cold campaign typically. Yeah. And I say typically because markets and are different, and data tells us differently based on what we're seeing and experiencing.
So I want to talk a little bit about Canada, and I know you said you only have a few clients there, but in my view of Canada is almost every chunk of data that we have is private. So we cannot pull lists, as far as I know, of like divorces and pre-foreclosures and people that recently passed away, and see how much equity people have. Almost all of that is private. And although I haven't bought a property here, but I'd imagine if I were going to be marketing in Canada, you're either going to just cluster bomb neighborhoods with direct mail or flyers, or you're going to go online. And I think that's why this is really relevant. Even, this is mainly a US investing topic webinar. I think that's the way I would go if I was trying to buy houses in Canada too. And I think the approach would be the same, right?
Yeah, it will be. We do have some Canadian clients, mostly in the Toronto area for whatever reason, but we don't have a lot. And part of it, I think, is just from our targeting. I think we focus a lot on the US because that's our predominant market, and that's a lot of our investors come from here. But the principles are the same. There may be certain keywords, key phrases that would differ based on.
You just have to add A at the end, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, if we add, that's all we have to do in the keyword, and then you're good. Sell my home fast, eh? And then and if that comes up, we're good to go. But the principles are the same. Some of the words may be different, but we're having success in that market. I know we can have success in other parts. It's just we, for whatever reason, haven't had a lot of clients in Canada, but the principles are absolutely the same. I mean, we're practically the same country. So
yeah, exactly. We all have computers. Yeah. All right. Anyone have any questions? If you do, feel free to just type them in. There's a chat bar. There should be a chat bar on the side. So if you have anything, just let us know. Where do you see this going? Because I mean, just the way technology and bots and AI and all that stuff, and the way the algorithms are, like, do you have any insight?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely going the way of artificial intelligence to a degree. There's, there are things that are happening with programs and software that we never thought would be possible 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, and beyond. So it is moving towards artificial intelligence to some degree. But it always seems to me that it's slower to adopt than what we always think it is, right? If you go back 100 years and you went to a world fair, by now we would have flying cars, and we would have, we'd colonize the moon, and it just doesn't happen at the speed people think it's going to. And I think that while AI will be effective in this space down the line to a degree, I just, there's that human, that intuition, that analysis, modification is just going to be, I think it's just going to be there. So I think that, while we all want to rely on AI to be our marketing department, and I think in some ways we can allow that to happen, or utilize technology, because it's a blessing. I mean, it's amazing the things we can do now. I mean, you can, with a lead, you can get in front of them via, Facebook or retargeting. You can RVM them, you can text them, you can email them, you can bombard them from every day. You can, with a click of a button, send them a postcard, or even just automate it. It's amazing. So I think it's a blessing. It's just going to make us more efficient at what we do. But I think there'll always be that human direction in some capacity for the near future, foreseeable future, where I'd be remiss to know what's going to happen 20 years from now, because who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe iBuyers take over the world, and there's one iBuyer in the, I don't know. I'm just you know what I mean?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but I think that for the foreseeable future, we'll have to, in all of our businesses, we'll have to be that marketing conductor. And we'll use technology to our benefit, but we'll still have to conduct it in the most effective way for our business.
Well, that's the thing, like, whether you like it or not, and it just seems like there's more and more, whether, this webcam might be listening to everything we're saying right now and logging all of our conversation and then start marketing to us. Like, you don't know. And it sucks from that perspective. But if we can get ahead of our competition and start using these kind of things as they come up, I think that's the only real way to stay alive. Because it seems like real estate, at least with the market where it is so competitive that, I mean, direct mail is good and it seems to work, but I feel like if you can be kind of on the leading edge of marketing, I think that's the best place to survive. And even, like, for example, you said RVM, like ringless voicemail. I'm hearing more and more about, court cases where people are suing and things like that. And the people that left the virtual or the voicemail drop are losing the court battle. So I feel like there's going to be some changes in that market soon, and that might not be doable anymore. But I mean, if you were on the front end of that, that was a great way to get leads. So I feel like just being progressive and always being on the front end of technology is a good place to be, as long as you can figure it out. That's the hard part.
Yeah. I mean, in any business, you want a competitive advantage, and through some type of marketing, advertising, customer acquisition channel, right? What is that competitive advantage going to be? And there can be many different competitive advantages. But I think you're right. I think the constant and the one that's going to just continue to boil up is the online space. It's here, and it's just going to expand. And if you can do this and complement all the other things we talked about too, you will have the advantage. I mean, it's just the nature of what it is. I mean, we have clients, doing 15, 20 deals a month, and they're so dialed in, and their systems are dialed in, and they're doing all these different things. And we have clients that are doing 2 deals a month that are the same thing. They have the systems dialed in, and they're using this to their advantage. And it's great. And it's a great thing. I think at the end of the day, it's a blessing, because, for us, for a business, as business owners, we want technology to work for us. We want that to do our work. The most frustrating thing about it can be that you feel like you're working harder to understand it and implement it than ever before. But at the end of the day, when you have it to a degree dialed in, we were just talking at the beginning of this, you got a lead come through the door. You didn't have to knock on a door. You didn't have to do anything except for, run specific ads, and that individual came to you.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. That's a great place to be at, so that you don't have to, hunt for your meal every day.
Hmm.
It's coming to you. So
Well, here's what I love about it is, like, I'm sure many of you can agree, is spending your days either cold calling or even sending mail, and just the amount of rejection over and over. And those people that call and are like, I'm not selling my house, don't ever mail me again. And I'm like, well, do you call the pizza companies and McDonald's to make flyers in your mailbox too? I'm not hungry, don't send me a letter. But like,
right.
it starts to chip away at you, right? It makes you feel like awful after a while, and it just drains you. Whereas when someone's finding you, the way you're approaching that relationship is they're not like aggressive or angry from the start, and then you having to warm them up.
Yeah.
It's like they want to find you and you're there. So I love the fact of like them hunting me instead of me hunting them all the time.
Yeah, rejection all day. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you gotta embrace it for what it is if you're doing that or when you're doing it. But yeah, it could get
Exactly.
tiresome. It's like
It's just nice to have someone find me for a change.
exactly.
Yeah. And the fact of like, I mean, if you're looking from even like a pollution perspective of like, not to say that direct mail doesn't work, because it does, but like, I mean, if you're not dumping tons of pieces of paper into the trash every day or week, or those bandit signs that just get thrown away the next morning by the HOA or whatever, even that, it's just you feel a little bit better, not
Yeah.
just throwing away plastic on the daily.
Yeah. Wait, you have a lot of trees up in Canada though, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
what, it's feeding
Fueling the logging
fueling.
industry.
Yeah, no, but I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
we could debate those things
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Exactly.
is it really the best use of, if you send out 100 posts or 100 postcards and you're getting, one deal
Yeah,
from
well,
it?
I've had good luck with direct mail, and I'm sure you can say the same about a lot of your clients. It does work,
No doubt.
but I just feel like, this is something that I've been wanting to learn about for quite a while, because this is where everyone goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the clients that do direct mail, that really, it's amazing to me with direct mail, because I have clients that are literally trying to get, from a point 0.3 response rate to like 0.6. I mean, like the littlest things
Yeah.
to get that little thing to get a little bit of a better response rate.
Mhm.
But it can work depending on the market. And
Yeah.
it is fun to watch too when it complements the online, because, again, these leads are gold. So
Yeah.
how else can you have a name, you have an address, you have potential motivation for whatever reason, whether it's high equity, probate, foreclosure, delinquent taxes, whatever it is, you have potential motivation there. How do you get in front of them? Okay, direct mail maybe one way, and then you know what? Let's try to get in front of them through an ad too. So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah. The
suggest
multi approach.
yeah, anyone that's doing direct mail, they
Mhm.
look into or focus on doing, targeting those lists too online.
Yeah.
Try to, figure it out, because you just want to get in front of those people as much as possible. You pay enough money for the list, you might as well get in front of them online too.
Yeah. Well, is there a minimum, like if you're talking to a new investor, that you'd say, you know what, you just don't have the budget to be doing these ads effectively? Like, is there a minimum budget you recommend?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend to a degree on the market, because
Yeah.
certain markets you can get away with a little less than other markets.
Right.
And if we look at the perspective, if you're going to, I mean, let's look at it in two ways. For us to do it, when someone hires us to do it,
Mhm.
they're paying us to do it. So there should be a minimum spend when they pay us to do it, because if you're paying us, you don't want the budget to be so absurdly low, then you're paying us what you're paying
Right.
us, that it's just like, well, why, it doesn't make sense, right? So
Yeah.
when we do it, they're like a minimum spend of typically about $2,000 a month is a pretty good spend to start with. Certain markets could be higher, certain
Hmm.
markets it could be lower, but about a 2,000 enough dollar spend on a monthly basis is a pretty good starting point,
Okay.
because we have to, for us again, we have to perform for our
Yeah.
clients. That's the goal, is success. We want to get enough opportunities through the door so that they can close a deal. So you
Mhm.
can get 10, 20 leads through the door. And if your closing ratio is 1 out of 10, that's where we want our, clients to be. Then you can close the deal. So yeah, that's about a good minimum spend or average spend to start with when our clients work with us. But when you're doing it yourself, you don't necessarily need to be there, because for us, we have a defined timeline. We need to get certain leads through the door. We need to, make things happen. Whereas if you're doing it yourself, well, maybe you can stretch it out a little bit more. You don't need to start with that type of budget. You can start with, 500 or 600 or 1,000 or whatever it is. When you start getting into like 100 and 200 and 300, it gets a little, washed out, where diluted, so that, because a click could be $20, $30. So how many clicks are you going to get in a month? And you ultimately over time, you may do a deal, but it's going to take you just a long time. And,
but if you're a hobby investor or something like that, then it might be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're patient. Yeah. And I think if you're a hobby investor and you want to start with a low budget and you're patient, and there's nothing wrong with being at a lower budget, but you're only, if your cost per lead, right, actual lead coming through the door, phone call, form filled out, et cetera, if your cost per lead is, let's say $100, well, if you spend $200, $300 a month, I mean, I'm talking average cost per lead, not cost per click. Cost per click. I'm talking form filled out, people. So you're going to get 2 or 3 leads a month. It takes 10 to close a lead. Typically, maybe it's 8, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 15. Every market's different. Every operator's ability to close a deal is different. So those ratios are going to be different. If you're spending 2 or 3. It's just going to take you longer. That's all. And that's fine, because, I had a client literally 2 weeks ago. He only wants 4 deals a year, and that's all he wants. And his budget's much less. And and he's in the rehabs, and he averages 45, 60, somewhere in that range. Works for him, right? 4 a year, good numbers. That's all he wants. So it just depends on what your goals are and what your budget is and what you can, afford.
Well, that's what I was thinking for a rehabber. Like, if you're not wholesaling, and if you can find your own deals, you're just going to get so much more equity, right? So it might be worth just taking that time to find them on your own instead of buying them from on the MLS or from a wholesaler. So
no doubt, because a wholesaler needs to make 10. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 12, whatever it is. They need to be in business, so they need to make that. Well, why not why not do it yourself if you're flipping and spend a little bit, build your own lead gen, not necessarily
deals.
Yeah, exactly. So and we all know, if it's a fat deal, a wholesaler is going to know it too, so they're going to up their wholesale fee. So it's going to be $15,000 or $17,000. I had one of our clients, actually, he had $135,000, $134, somewhere in that range, $1,000 wholesale deal. And so that was in California, very rare, but it does happen. And but anyway, if as a rehabber or flipper can have a bigger spread, and you get that through a wholesaler, they're going to eat more of that, that spread up, because they see possibilities.
Yeah, so you could either give that money to a wholesaler or maybe give part of it to your online ad campaign. So it might be worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're getting pretty close to an hour. Do you guys have any questions at all? If not, or if you think of something after, you can definitely send me a message. We'll get your contact info, Lou, as well. Or if it's on YouTube, just make a comment underneath the video, and Lou or myself will definitely answer for you. But how can people find out a little bit more about AdWords Nerds? And are you all nerds, or are you just the one that's not, or what?
No, the requirement is nerd.
It's on your resume?
You got to be a nerd, and yeah, we pride ourselves on that. But yeah, no, it's AdWordsNerds.com. That's the best place to find us. It's www.adwordsnerds.com. If you need anything, if you can email me directly at lou@adwordsnerds.com. So LOU@adwordsnerds.com. You have any questions? I mean, Cal brought you guys on, and you have any questions, you need any insight, I mean, you want us to look at anything, happy to do it. No charge investment. Even if you don't work with us, that's fine. I mean, yeah. I can point you in directions of what you can do as an individual to run this successfully. So, whatever anybody needs, I'm more than happy to spend some time with them. And since they're obviously coming through you, I'd be happy to help.
Well, that's the thing. And like you said, I mean, you can learn to do this. Anyone can learn to do this. But I think if you do, like you said earlier, you need to focus 100% on it. Because if you're like, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of online, I'm going to do some direct mail, I'm going to do this and that, I feel like you're not going to get the results from it. Because you need to learn how this works. And when I started out, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to try and figure this out. And I just finally got to the point, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to spend my whole budget trying to learn, and then I'm going to have no budget left once I figure it out. So it's definitely doable, but I think if you guys would rather focus on doing your business and making the deals and analyzing the numbers and networking and things like that, I think that's a much better focus of your time than also trying to now learn how to figure out the mystic ways of Google. So, farming things out, I think as an investor mindset, you do what's good, what you're skilled at, and letting a pro handle some of these things, it made sense for me. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate you coming on this evening. And Lou, thank you so much for sharing all this awesome info. Really appreciate it. And maybe we can get you back on again in the future, in a couple months.
Yeah, anytime. You have any questions or want to talk anything specifically, by all means. Great being with you and with everybody else.
All right. Well, everyone, have a great night.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.